lovelies, I'm Fragnostic, and tonight on the glorious return of the Holy Truth, we're crawling on Under That Rain. Could be a Dylan song about how the man's always hassling you to get a job and cut your hair and stop bringing your own snacks into the cinema. But the joke's on the man because you actually bought those snacks with his welfare money. Hail Anarchy! Is actually a horror-flavoured point-and-click adventure where, in a house that awakens long-forgotten memories, you will find out how memories can be untrue and dangerous. Let yourselves be led in an extraordinary adventure that will uncover Lazarius Mansion's obscure mysteries. So there you go, in this game not only can you forget memories, but by the time you've gone to the trouble of awakening and remembering them, they're not even bloody true. And they're dangerous. You know what this reminds me of? The 1980s turtle craze. Nobody even remembered turtles existed until the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. But now, wow, turtles, yay, best animal ever. Except they're not. They're just perpetually pissed off tortoises, don't actually carry bow staffs, nunchucks, or twin katanas. What they do carry is salmonella. Heroes in a half shell. Shit your lungs out. Really forgotten what point I was trying to make here, but fuck Venus de Milo. Under That Rain shoehorns you into the upmarket brogues of Andre, a French social worker. I know. I mean, if it helps you, if it's any consolation at all, I spent the first 10 minutes thinking he was a chimpanzee in man clothes, and this was going to be one of those weird games where all the characters are anthropomorphic animals, and there's going to be enough sexual tension between me and a fox woman, and I'm going to be wondering why Steam refunds still don't have a specific Dropbox option for this shit. But anyway, after a long day of caring about people and having a beard, Andre gets a mysterious case file dropped on his doormat, which, upon reading, read it, you monkey bastard! Upon reading, paints a picture so troubling of Adrian Lazarius, an orphan child that has suffered chronic neglect and abuse over a number of foster homes, that he heroically forgoes sleep and downtime admiring the painting of a curtain he wishes he had and a woman, my god, nature is cruel, and leaps into the Andre Mobile to mount another protracted state-enabled rescue operation. Why, he's practically the French Batman. Except instead of batarangs or ninjutsu, l'homme chauve-souris will smack you with Form 78115. Pow! Recommendations for probation or visitation restrictions. Biff! Incidentally, Batman in French translates literally back into English as Bald Rat Man, which makes him sound less like he's going to save you from the machinations of a homicidal clown, and more like he's about to show you a grotesque trick of his genitals that you will struggle through tears to recount in your statement to the police. Upon arriving at the Lazarius Mansion, you're greeted by the family butler, who promises to receive you immediately. Get your hands out my pants! Do excuse me. But no sooner has he left than the lights go out and a scream pierces the air from the very next room. But just what in the cartwheeling polka dot clown buggery is going on here? That, lovelies, is something you will more than likely still be asking yourself by the time Under That Rain's credits start a-rolling. Even though fair practice dictates that I remind you that this is merely episode 1, so it mostly gets a free pass on leaving its loose ends swaying in the breeze like a simpleton's shoelaces. As a fan of mid-70s to 80s Italian horror movies, and a man with the inability to stop whining about how sparsely that special era is represented in video games, Under That Rain really peels a double-edged wish off the monkey's paw to deliver you a near-authentic ambassador of shakily translated soap operatics, punctuated with moments of extreme gory violence. The game hops jarringly between the classic innocence and over-convolution of traditional point-and-click puzzles, such as attempting to shoo this crow away from a shovel you need by painstakingly assembling a gramophone to blast Lou Reed records at it, or sabotaging the groundskeeper's dance party by filling his generator with mud, and sequences that are essentially food smush porn for vampires, such as eviscerating a hulking demon dog with a machete, or brutally stabbing a defenseless woman to death, which is worth noting you are more intrinsically involved in the acts of than your comfort zone might tolerate, requiring you to manually click each and every thrust of the blade into her lifeless body. I mean, you can see here that my own comfort zone has the territorial borders of Russia. I was trying to stab her in the eyes at one point there. But for the casual point-and-click puzzle fan, such unrestrained carnage is a rare sight in the genre. Consequently, it's fair to say that Under That Rain might be onto something uniquely harrowing here, were it not for the wonky Italian to English translation. It never reaches utterly game-breaking depths, or feels like the broken semi-conscious ramblings of an alcoholic kicked in the head by a horse that a lazy copy and paste into Google Translate will afford you, but even the title of the game seems a little off. Under the Rain, or even Under This Rain, might have helped free it from sounding like a turn-of-the-century Missouri chain gang rock-breaking song, but that's small change quibbling when you run it up against Andre's habit of screaming random parts of his sentences. And I feel that I have a bond with this place. I want to understand why. I've never had parents. So why? We only wanted to have a little bit of fun. A party in an abandoned house. Then everyone was massacred. Wait! Abandoned. I've met people here. The old lady. The gardener. And Adrian! It's fairly obvious that the script wasn't in any real state to win an Oscar before it broke a leg hopping the language barrier, but it takes some of the punch away from the game's more visceral sequences, and in a genre where coherent description and conversation rules is a regular weakener of the mood. It's the only true vulnerability of an otherwise very solid lower tier point and click game. The puzzle solutions aren't overly obscure, and Under That Rain is clearly more concerned with moving you through the story than having you bounce around from screen to screen frustrated and lost by way of the helpful optional overlay that shows you all of the interactive spots in your current location. The pixel art is maybe a little underscaled if you're playing in full screen, but still encompasses some beautiful work nonetheless, and the low-key original score brews an effective mood as you explore Lazarius Mansion and its grounds. Under That Rain is a 2 to 3 hour tumble in its current single episode state, and that will probably be largely dependent on how often you use the clue overlay, as the only remotely taxing part of solving the game's problems is tracking down the items you need for them. Sometimes you'll have to examine a spot a couple more times than might be obvious, and revisit the NPCs for occasional new dialogue branches, but this is fairly standard practice for games of this type, and shouldn't be much of a negative to anyone with even a passing experience of them. Look, if you need a deal breaker, it's even got a dirty old lady you can chat up. Jesus Christ, steady love. Have a dust around down there first at least.